Nobody talks about how hard it is to keep going when nobody's clapping, when the room is quiet, the likes are low, and the support is minimal. How do you stay motivated? Welcome back to Creative Struggles. I'm Nahjalae, and today we are talking about celebrating yourself without validation. It's like once you show up and try, you realize nobody might be watching. But of course, before we get into that, we are doing the grind report. And this week, I'm going to switch it up just a tad bit. I'm trying to find new employment. That is the grind for this week and also next week. The two jobs full time is very stressful. I'm only getting 2 hours of sleep, and I've also added the podcast onto my plate. So that doesn't give me a lot of time for rest. And I know that my time is coming very soon, my big opportunity, my big moment. And I'm just trying to, continue to push forward and finding another source of income that does not involve anything that is going to go against my morals and my values. So yeah, because I'm getting a little overwhelmed. Chest is hurting just a tad bit due to not sleeping, and we don't want to have a stroke. So yeah, the overnight job, we might have to cut that out. It ain't no might. We're gonna have to cut that. Yeah, because I ain't getting no sleep. No sleep. So, moving on, the title for this episode is Clapping for Yourself. We don't always do that. I feel like there's not always an applause. A lot of times you're doing things in silence, pure silence at first, especially when you're starting something or starting a new journey or what have you. Silence can honestly feel louder than criticism because there's no one commenting, there's no one liking anything, there's no one reposting anything, there's no one looking at you. That speaks way more than the criticism, because at least with criticism, you're hearing people talking about you, talking about your work, this, that, and the third. But when it's quiet, what do? And I feel like we as creatives, we feel like we do big work and we sometimes receive little to no feedback at all. And it's like, what am I doing wrong? To the point where you are kind of looking for that validation. You could be auditioning and never hearing anything back. Or if you do hear something back, we actually went in a different direction. And it's like, well, I wish I could have got feedback as to, what I could improve on in the future. Now you're just kind of sitting there like, oh, that audition sucked. They hated me. When in reality, they probably didn't hate you. You might have just been too tall for the role. You may be in a different state and they need someone right then and there. You never really know what the feedback is because half the time they don't tell you. Then your mind starts to wander and also wonder about, well, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? I'm not receiving any validation, so what's the point? Why do we even crave external applause anyway? Likes equals worth. And I feel like that's just kind of what it comes down to. The amount of people that like your stuff, the amount of people that repost your videos, your pictures, your whatever that you're doing, whatever that you're creating, that equals the amount of worth that you may feel that you are deserving of. I feel like, if no one's watching your story, no one's reposting, no one's liking, no one's commenting, then you feel like, okay, well, what am I doing wrong? I thought this was good. I thought this was great. And no one likes it. No one has commented. No one has reposted it. Like, am I terrible? Am I trash? Like, what's going on? We want and need validation so we don't feel delusional. And it's because you could be doing something so many times, posting all this other stuff. And it's like, okay, wait, now I know this was a good video. I know this was a good one. Anybody like this? What's going on? Am I delusional? Am I full of myself? What is going on here? And then I feel like you also get to a point where you're feeling like your success only counts when it's witnessed. And that is not true. No one has to actually witness anything successful about you for you to be successful. I feel like the richest people in the world, the wealthiest people in the world, the top creators, sometimes they do things no one even knows about that has gotten them far and it hasn't been witnessed. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't count. And it also goes back to the point of everything doesn't need to be filmed. Everything doesn't need to be noted. There's a fear of celebrating too early. This is for me. I think I celebrate a lot of things a little too early. I, in the past, have celebrated things too early and it backfired because nothing was ever confirmed. It was just talked about. So In my head, I'm like, oh, I'm getting booked for this. Like, oh, I'm excited. And all they said was, you did a really great job. You'll be hearing from us soon. They say that to everybody. But when you hear it, it's like, oh, I'm getting booked for this. And crickets, you have not heard anything in the last 2 months. They didn't pick you. They moved on to someone else. They're supposed to say, you've done well. You've done a good job. We'll call you. Do they call? Sometimes, but more oftentimes than not, they're not calling. And that is why this line of work, being a creator, being an actor, being an entrepreneur, is very difficult because there's going to be so many no's to the point where you feel like you're second guessing even being an actor, being an entrepreneur, being a creator, being a musician, dancer, whatever you're passionate about, you're questioning everything because why am I getting so many no's? Is it ever going to be a yes? And I feel like sometimes we just want to hear, see you. You're doing great work. I've gotten a handful of people saying, I really love your podcast. Like, this is great. And it does something to me. It's like, wow, like, okay, I'm not talking to myself. People are actually watching it. People are actually engaging in it. So that makes me feel good. We just have to start learning to clap for ourselves. And I have had to learn that the hard way because I just go through the motions. Sometimes I feel like I'm running on autopilot. I could book a gig and it's just like, okay, cool. That's cool. Moving on to something else. Not even realizing, like, be happy for the moment. You booked something because waiting for the applause is going to slow you down. That's why I've stopped waiting. I think that starting this podcast has really challenged me to continue to push forward because I get in those moments of, okay, well, I feel like no one's really watching. I only get about 2, 3 views on my story, not that many people liking it, no one's reposting it. Like maybe like it's like, oh well, do I stop? Do I stop the podcast? Like since no one's paying attention, like what do I do? But no, that's the time to keep going. Like in the past, when I started I was uploading funny sketches that I wrote and I would have my fellow actors come in and act aside for me. And I was kicking them out every week. And then I just was kind of feeling like no one's paying attention. No one's watching this. Why am I continuing to do this? And I stopped. And then it got to a point where I feel like maybe a couple of weeks after folks didn't hear or folks didn't see me post any skits, somebody was like, what happened to the funny videos? Those were hilarious. I'm like, huh. They were hilarious, but yet you didn't like, you didn't comment, you didn't repost. Okay. So you were watching, but you didn't engage. Got it. So that kind of flipped the script of me thinking like, okay, just because someone isn't actually liking, posting, watching my story, that doesn't mean they're not seeing what I'm doing. They just haven't pressed that button, which is fine. But, just show a little bit of love here and there. And I feel like celebrating the effort, not just the outcome. When you're putting in the effort to submit these self-tapes before the deadline or staying consistent, that takes a lot of effort because things happen. Life goes on. Shoot, life is happening. So being consistent, posting every day, posting at certain times, a certain day, that takes dedication and everybody does not have that. But if you're truly passionate about what you're trying to do, you're going to make it work. And I have been making it work. That's why I only run on 2 hours of sleep a day. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, you got to stay consistent and you got to be submitting. And also get on the acting apps and look at everything and submit. Submit, submit, submit. And what does clapping for yourself even look like? I think, again, acknowledging your progress. And then we have to stop downplaying our achievements. And I am one of those people where I can definitely downplay it real good. To the point where it's like, did you even want to be there? It's like, yes, I did, but I always have to throw a but after everything, honestly. I think I do that just in general. But in terms of cheating something, an example, I could have been on set in the background on set with Quinta, Shirley Ralph, all the people from Abbott, but I was in the background, so it don't count. It do count. Everybody else ain't on Abbott Elementary. Everybody else didn't get booked for that. You got booked for it. Why are you putting the butt in there? Side note, I was on Abbott, I want to say 3 or 4 times. I think season 3. Watch all the seasons and you'll see me in the background. But that's an achievement. Everybody's not on Abbott Elementary. I didn't have a lead part or I wasn't a day player this time, but I can be a day player the next time. I could become one of the supporting actors. Things happen, things change. So go ahead, speak that into existence. Quinta, if you watch this ever, please, whatever y'all got coming up, let me audition. I'd love to be on there. Allow yourself to feel proud about what you have already accomplished. Not what you haven't done yet, but what you've already accomplished. I recently looked at my acting resume and I can say I've done some great work. Like, I genuinely just looked at it like, wow, I've been in some good stuff. And just taking a moment to really look at the work that you've done, you'd truly be amazed by what you've done. Because everybody can't say that they've been in your shoes. We all may be on the same path, but we're taking different directions. Eventually, we're going to veer off and go into our own lanes. And the truth of it all is, it is quite lonely cheering for yourself, but who cares? Because if you're not believing in yourself, then who else is going to? It has to start with you first. When I post my promo videos for this podcast, the first thing I do, I like it, I repost it on all of my different platforms because I have Styles by Naj, where I sew and make my own clothing. Nahjalae's Polymer earrings, where I create my own earrings from scratch using polymer clay, and my personal Instagram, and now Creative Struggles. So we have 4 different platforms where I like, repost, share my story. I do that every time. Now moving on to a win is a win. And a win here is I stopped waiting for applause and just continue to push forward. Because waiting for an applause, that could take a while. I'm not on everybody else's time. I'm on my time. So I'm clapping for myself. And when everybody else starts clapping for me, good. Now, the lesson learned here is your effort always matters. It matters. And just keep going because you never know who's watching you. Even when others start to clap for you and give you your flowers, don't forget to continue to clap for yourself anyway. Now, normally we do struggle mail, but I want to flip it and do reflection questions for this episode. Now, I have 3 questions that I would like for you guys to answer in the comments. You can send a DM. You can write it as a review, but let me know your response. Now, the first question is, who do you want to notice you? Is it a specific casting director, a director, producer, fellow actors? Who is it? Who do you want to notice you? Second question, what win have you been minimizing? And last question, when was the last time you celebrated yourself? And that question speaks for itself. So just let me know. And I'll be reading responses on the next episode. Thanks again for watching and or listening. If you are a listener opposed to a watcher, thank you, thank you. Thanks for tuning in to Creative Struggles. Again, I am Nahjalae. And remember, if you're not celebrating you, then who will? Keep that in mind. And remember to like, comment, subscribe, leave a review, send a DM, send an email, however you want to do it. All platforms are open for you to listen and really digest what has been said on this episode today. Remember to give me your responses and I will read them on the next episode. Also, don't forget to go on Etsy at Nahjalae Poly Earrings to look at any earrings that you may want to purchase or any earrings that you would like me to create for you. I can do that as well. I will see you guys next week. Nice talking to you. See you later.